Hello Oriole TV. I'm going to take a quick moment to explain the storyboarding process as you guys are working on your Oriole Way network videos for the mascots, or for the Oriole mascot. I want to make sure that we're following a process that's industry standard, and that is storyboarding. So alongside this video in Google Classroom, you're going to have two documents also attached. This document on basics of storyboarding, so you've got some basic rules here and some examples. And then at the bottom, just an example of a storyboard template. And then secondly, you're going to have the actual storyboard template, which you can either print out and sketch up, which is fine. A pencil is probably going to be the easiest to do this on, or just to mark it up. Or if you want to use it and type it up, that's fine too. It's really up to you. But before you go to any sort of production, I'm going to need to see this storyboard completed to its full extent, and then you can make additional copies of pages 2 and 3 as needed, and you're probably going to need a bunch of them. So I'll have the paper copies of those available for you. Alright, so back to the storyboard process. Let's just go through this quickly. This should just take a moment. So when we storyboard something for a video, whether it's a commercial, a full-on production, a movie, or a snippet of something, everything has to be storyboarded. We can't just go from the gut. Even if we are just going from the gut, we have to have some sort of a plan to guide us, because it's not just your head, it's everyone else's that you're working with, and trying to make sure that we're all swimming in the same direction. So the storyboard is going to help keep everything organized and well laid out and planned. So let's go through some basics of that storyboard. The first part is just keeping it simple, so make sure that you're just sketching it out. You don't have to be a perfect artist to make this happen, but storyboard it out and do your sketches sort of like this, so we sort of know exactly what's going on. Minor details aren't that important. Just go through and stick to the basics on that. Try to draw the actual shot and consider how it's going to look on your screen. So if you think about it, how it's going to look on a television or on your computer screen or in the YouTube frame, consider that and think about that in your head in regards to perspective, close-up, zooming in, zooming out, whether it's a long shot, in which case it's sort of like the whole room, you can see the entire person, a medium shot, which is about knees or waist length up of individuals. You can still see some expressions on their face, but it's sort of a medium shot. And then of course the close-up, which is obvious. You can really see the close-up of what's happening with that person's face and the expressions. I'll show you an example of that. So draw that actual shot and consider what's going to happen out with that. Consider your point of view. Let's say that you're doing something with a certain scene. The point of view may be incredibly important, of whether it's from the main character's perspective or a secondary character's perspective, or if you're just filming it as an audience member. Knowing the role that the camera plays and the perspective of that, where it's taping from and what angles and such it's looking from, and no different than when you're writing a story. If it's first person or second person, that has to be taken into consideration. So consider that and make notations of that. In your video dialogue, in your template, feel free to use the margins for notes. So if we go over here and you've got one shot, you've got some narration notes here, you've got some sections below here for the audio video notes, how long is it going to be, what music is in the background. Feel free to use the margin areas over here for notes. This is your sketchboard, this is your notepad, so make use of all of it. If we take a look at number 5, make sure you use arrows to indicate planning and camera movement. So for example, if we go back up to here, you've got an arrow here that is obviously pointing that it's going to pan up to see the height and dimension of, let's assume these are trees. In this case, the camera is going to pan to the right. Looks like we got a dinosaur here, so it's going to pan to the right and fade that person in or up. And then you've got an arrow down there as well. So that's going to give the person on the camera, who might not be you, another team member, notations of how to pan that correctly within the camera take. Make sure you make a rough estimate of the time frame and list that on the storyboard. If the video or the scene itself, or for that individual shot or frame, is 2 seconds versus 7 seconds, that's a long time. Just sit and count that to yourself for a second. 1, 2, 3, 7 seconds is longer than it feels, or is longer than you initially think. So having that seconds or time frame sort of sketched out in your head and also noted on your sketchboard below here is really important. So have a plan for that. And then regarding that, for those that are on the actual camera, make sure you have a lead in and a tail out. So if the camera shot or the shot itself is 7 seconds, your filming of that scene or that shot might be 15 to 18 seconds. 5 seconds before, and then the people go, 5 seconds after, because you want to make sure that you can cut those beginning and endings out to really snip down to where you need to be. Don't tell the actors to go and then hit the trigger on the camera at that exact same time. You're going to miss some of that dialogue or some of that action. So have a lead in and then tell the people to go, and then tell them to stop, and then a few seconds later stop recording on the camera. So have that lead in and lead out that you can edit with on the story once you get into iMovie or Final Cut Pro. And then don't forget the audio section. So if in the notes that you're going to be recording directly from the person's dialogue, like for example this video is recording me talking directly, that's live. If I were to just be doing some action scenes and then I'm going to have my narration voiceover thereafter, that's a voiceover. Make sure that you've got that notated in there for that. And then obviously plan ahead for video recording if you need to get some recording devices to make sure that you get that sound correctly, and test it ahead of time and make sure that it sounds correctly. If you're outside, make sure you're accommodating for any wind noise in the microphone, things like that. Finally, good background music is really important. If you have that music picked out, make sure you've got it noted and the time framing of that music and where it is and of the music. So if the music that you're going to be putting into your music starts at 1 minute and 12 seconds, put that in the notes so you know exactly when you get back to the editing frame of what's going to go where. Make sure that that music, and this is going to be a different discussion altogether, is copyright approved or Creative Commons approved. You can't just take anybody's music and put it in there. You're going to get busted for copyright infringement. I'll show you plenty of examples of that coming up. So make sure you've got copyright license available or available for reuse music that you can use. And if you don't know the music, put in the genre of music: light and breezy, tough action music, scary music, some sort of dramatic music, building to crescendo sort of something. So make sure you've got that taken care of. A couple other notes: make sure that you do have a storyboard for every shot. You do have to have a storyboard for everything, and I won't let you get on the cameras until that's planned for. You might have a scene here of like a schoolboy. He's finally getting the courage up to confront the schoolyard bully, and there's going to be some action scenes in there. That 1 minute action scene might have 20 plus frames you have to deal with from multiple perspectives. Planning is going to make that pull off successfully. So make sure you're thinking about that. You're thinking about camera angles, the sound, the timing, the media in the background as far as the music, if that's the case, the angles that you're working with, whether you're going to be doing a close-up, a long shot, a medium shot, if it's panning left and right, up and down, all those things you need to be considerate of. So there really is a lot of planning process before I just let you get to the camera and start filming, especially when you're involving other classes or other things. You don't want to waste their time. You got to go into it and have an action plan and tell everybody the directions of what's going to happen and then go. Don't just say, all right, let's do this, and then think about what you're going to do. You should know ahead of time. So if we look at the template on the next page, on the other attached, here's what you're going to have for anything you do before you start filming. I want the production name, the date and the time frame to which you're doing that, as well as the length of the thing that the film that you're filming. If it's a 1 minute video, if it's a 10-minute video, whatever the case may be. Who's your team members? And then what's the concept? A quick paragraph or discussion of what are you doing? What does it look like? What's the concept of the video? And then you'll have one of these for every shot. So you may have, for a 1 minute video, you may have 20 or 30 of these. You may have 5 or 6. It really depends on how that works out. So you'll sketch out the shot here. Make sure you label it shot 1. Have a little notes of who's doing what. And any audio video notes, how long that scene is going to be or that shot's going to be. Draw some arrows in there so we know how to pan. Is there voiceovers or is it live? all those things to be considered. And then you'll do that for every single one and work your way through. One thing that I didn't mention, which I should do now, this is not your script. Your script should be a separate piece of paper that you're going to give to your actors or your talent, so everybody knows their parts and their who's saying what. So that this is a planning document for your production team, the people on the camera, the people that are in charge of it, the people that are doing the editing. The script will be for your actors, and that will list out your actors, their acting names, and their actions, and their what they need to say. So make sure you're planning for that as well. All right, that's it. There'll be more instruction to follow on some copyright information coming up. Good luck.